Very, very sorry about being late. So, part of the reason I'm late is because I was looking for my controller. I legit lost my controller, and I had to spend, like, 5-10 minutes looking for it. So that one's on me. Next one was, after I updated the stream information, Streamlabs decided that it would not let me stream until I updated my graphics driver. This is the first time I've ever had to update my graphics driver. Ever! Apparently, Streamlabs thinks it's special. And so I opened the NVIDIA thing on my computer, set up a bunch of stuff, and it's like, okay, please log into your account. I did not have an NVIDIA account. So, I had to make one, verify my email address, then go to drivers, click update, and then spend fucking forever installing the new drivers. And then Streamlabs decided it would let me stream. So then, I turned on my Switch, turned on Great Ace Attorney, and the Switch told me that a system update was required. I'm starting to see why Google Stadia hated updates so much. So, yeah, I had to deal with that. Looked online for a few updates on the Ukraine situation. Again, if you have any spare cash, please consider donating to one or more of the charities listed in the articles linked below. And yeah, now we're here. Anyway, enough of me bitching. Let's get to the game. I just wanted to get that off my chest real fast. The unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamor around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then, at a little past 8 o'clock that evening, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. With Jigoku? November 3rd, 8:07 p.m., Sholmes Suite. We have returned, my dear fellows! Welcome back to Britain, and thank you for your timely help. Think nothing of it! I believe you've had an even more wearing day than Mikatoba and I know. You could say that. We were on the brink of defeat in quarter earlier, and now it's playing at 60 frames per second. Okay, maybe I do approve of the system update. Looks like it's in higher quality, too. Like, I mean, it feels like the first time I'm seeing this in 60 frames per second. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know, but the image just looks sharper, and everything's running smoother. I like it. So, this prosecutor, Asaki, had you on the ropes, did he? And he's your best friend, you say? Well, he's not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it's incredible. To think that he'd even entertain the idea of acting as the Reaper's assassin. Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only ever met the young man as a corpse. When all this started, almost a year ago now. Mr. Sholmes still hasn't told us the truth about what really happened back then. About the motivation for what he himself described as a great detective's lie. Now then, I must say, it's really quite a journey all the way to France. Mr. Naruhodo, why are you opening the court record? Well, it is another country, Mr. Sholmes, so what news of Judge Jigoku? He got away, didn't he? We took him to Scotland Yard, The investigating detectives there have a lot of questions for the man. Poor Professor Mikitoba. This must be quite a shock for him. Ah, yes! I picked this up at the telegraph office on our way home. What is it? Surely you haven't forgotten already. I put upon you for the matter only yesterday. You put upon me, Sholmes. I had to fill out your telegram to Japan and foot the bill as well. Oh, you've had a reply already? Oh yeah, I actually forgot about the fact that he sent the telegram. What was so urgent though, Mr. Sholmes? Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for an involved conversation at present. Well, that's good news, because supper is ready, everyone! Ah, and what a feast it is! If I were none the wiser, I'd think the trial were won already. Roast beef, kippers, stew, steak and kidney pie, Yorkshire pudding. Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up! What about breakfast? In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only one set with a helping of pheasant as well. Oh, sorry, Hurley, not there. Hmm? Whatever not. Are we in set places this evening? Yes, and that place is for Susie's dad. For me? That's right. I made it especially for you, Professor Mickey. I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you. It's a shame, really. What do you mean? Maybe it's the new TV or something. I don't know. Well, for a brief moment, I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Oh. Did something happen that we forgot about? Did she figure it out and then figure out more than us? Iris, do you mean... Yes, I know. I overheard yesterday. I secretly listened into the conversation you had, after I tricked you all into thinking I'd left. What? Oh. The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago. But actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Wilson nor Professor Mikitoba are Iris' father. Yes, about that, Iris. You know, I know. You can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Iris. So, what's the explanation for Mikitoba not being Iris' father now? The pheasant is by way of an apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping. Oh, no, that's quite alright. Then why don't I get any apologetic pheasant? So just who is Iris' father? I suppose that's not something we'll be finding out today. So then, let us dine, while our largely pheasantless plates are still piping hot. A fine idea, Sholmes. It all looks absolutely delicious. Eat as much as you like. There are always seconds. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. About that telegram from Japan, and about Cosmo. We can't let this opportunity slip away. Okay, so the game's gonna make me examine people to get answers. Are they over here? Iris and Mikitoba are not here. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Surely it's abundantly clear that I wasn't brooding over Mikitoba's refusal to share his pheasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes. Sorry, Hurley, but I cooked that pheasant especially for Susie's daddy. Even though I've played the role of father to you for far longer. Mr. Sholmes? Could I discuss some things with you? 1 second. I think it's yeah, whatever.
Certainly, my dear fellow. I find myself quite in the mood for a smell of conversation. No doubt. You're hungry to learn more of my love of game.
What? Hold on. I may need to reread that because I didn't catch that. Hold on. No doubt you're hungry to learn more of my deep love of game. Oh, bird. Okay. I can probably contain my curiosity on that one.
You needn't look at me in that fashion.
In what fashion?
It seems that before we discuss the pheasant, we have some rather unpheasant matters to discuss.
Boo! Boo! Boo this man! A telegram from Japan. So, what was in the telegram you received back from Japan then?
Ah, this? I think my lucky stars had arrived in time. Record found as indicated. Duplicate follows. K. Atsuki, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson.
What? Those 4 names? We've come across that exact same list before.
We have?
I mean, we've come across everyone in that list. But have we come across that list? What? They came up in that unforgettable case last spring. Oh, wait, Asa Shin did? What? How is she involved? Hold on. What was the... Oh, okay, I remember now. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated murder turned out to be masking monumental intrigue. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. In exposing the means by which those secrets were being leaked, we deciphered a fragment of a message. K. Osugi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. Is this like... Hold on, is this HDR that's going on right now? I'm sorry, I just got like I said earlier, this is like a new TV. Dynamic backlight. Okay, that's the problem. That explains it. Everything's nice and bright now. But we didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information had been sent by somebody in the British government to somebody in Japan. So, why are the names coming up again now? Yes! Where did the sender of your telegram discover them, Sholmes?
I have here the message I wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Jigoku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication from Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names. Need by tomorrow. Naruhodo.
I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature. You asked Inspector Sanaka how to take it over. They're using the picture of him from the first case when he was in the bathing suit. And in my name? I wonder what guise he opted for this time.
My dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand.
Anyway, the list of names was found in Sashiro's office, as Sholmes predicted. So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan was... It was sent to Judge Jigoku! He was the intended recipient! I don't believe it. But that doesn't answer the question of what the list of names actually signifies.
I did formulate a hypothesis about that. But without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it.
Mr. Sholmes looks deadly serious for once. A telegram from Japan has been entered into the court record. Let's take a look at that. A telegram from Inspector Hasanaga in Japan with details of the telegram he managed to locate by stealing into Judge Shigoku's office. K. Asugi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. Kazuma's death. That tragedy we had to go through on the SS Buria. It was all for nothing. Kazuma wasn't dead at all. We were completely taken in by the lie you told us. Your great detective's lie.
I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at the time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place, whatever the cost.
What? I mean, that's my reaction exactly. Like, why was the study tour such a problem?
I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan.
His remains, you mean?
Precisely, Miss Usato. And then, I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead.
Oh my! You mean...
That the arrangement between our two countries was already in place. One university student lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on a study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Asuki, I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least.
Wait, do you mean to say that it was all in aid of stopping Kazuma coming to Britain? That's why you...
Think back, Mr. Naruhodo.
Was there not somebody who quite casually urged you to continue on the voyage to England? The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Asuki's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead.
My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely.
But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer.
The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer.
So, you manipulated me?
I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship will drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend.
I don't believe it. But if it was all contrived, I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. The woman was mistakenly arrested as the perpetrator. Yeah, that's something that's been kind of lingering in the back of my mind, but I never brought up, like, what's happening to her now?
Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. I subsequently explained everything and assisted the unfortunate soul in finding the foreign refuge she sought.
I seem to remember Miss Usato and I had some rather strong words for her.
Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure.
I wonder if she made it to America then. I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Sholmes? Why were you so determined to stop Kazuma from reaching Britain?
The truth is, 12 months ago, there was already a very tangible omen of the impending tragedy you see.
Oh!
An omen that, at this very moment in time, is close at hand.
An omen of all these tragic events that already existed a year ago is close at hand? We need to find out exactly what Mr. Sholmes knows. An omen. Let's take another look at this. Huh. I think I know what it is now. Let's look at how this is framed. Let's look at how the text is framed here. K. Osaki / A. Shin, and then on the next line, T. Gregson, John Wilson. It was A. Shin who killed J. Wilson, and right now we're starting to think that K. Osaki killed T. Gregson. The top line is the assassins, and what's directly below them are their targets. Perhaps someone was sending orders to these people? Maybe that's what Cosmo was told he was talking about something he had to do. It was murdering Gregson. There was no room for doubt with your instructions in this telegram, Mr. Sholmes. You were very clear that it was Judge Jigoku's office that should be searched, so you obviously knew that's where the list of names would be found. K. Osaki, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we only learned of those 4 names just over 6 months ago. And only because they appeared as part of the top-secret government communications that were leaked.
That's true, yes. But at the time, you were unaware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan. Around 6 months before that, approximately this time last year, in fact, when you were both still in Japan. It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets. Because after all, I'm perpetually eavesdropping on communicating between the British and Japanese governments.
You're perpetually doing what? How?
Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from Herlock Sholmes when he has designs of his own, knowing it.
Oh my, Mr. Sholmes! What a fabulous line!
Now, 1 month after that list of 4 names was wired to the recipient Jigoku in Japan, Dr. John H. Wilson was murdered. As soon as I learned of the incident, a hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partly correct and partly mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of of all the tragic events that were to follow.
Mr. Sholmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us all about these 4 names and the tragedy to which they're all somehow connected. But why would the government want Gregson dead? Did they think he was working for the Reaper? Was the government behind the Curse of the Reaper? 4 names.
As I said, when I learned of Dr. Wilson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names. Because you see, there was someone else on the list, who I believe to be recently deceased.
What? Who?
A Shin, as it was transcribed in Japanese script. In actual fact, Miss Asa Shin. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavory classes.
Oh, I see.
But she had completely vanished from existence several months before Wilson's murder. So I came to the logical conclusion that she had herself been killed. And accordingly, I became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list.
Ah! Kay Osaki and T. Gregson!
Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself. But I determined it would be safest if young Asaki were to stay away from Britain.
Ah, so that's why you went to such lengths to prevent his study tour from going ahead.
Exactly.
So, you already knew who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Sholmes? Oh yes, Sholmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I recounted many tales about Asagi to him in my letters, and the news of Dr. Wilson's death, of course. So, Dr. Wilson is dead then? I didn't know. Oh, Iris. I knew he wasn't my daddy, but still, it's very sad. I'm so sorry, Iris. I knew the significance of the name, obviously, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. No. But what you just told us, Mr. Sholmes, doesn't completely tie in with the facts. There's one big hole in your hypothesis. Big hole, Mr. Naruhodo? Ah, yes. You mean about Asa Shin, I presume. Oh, of course! Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? Well, she was, eventually. She was in Japan, posing as a visiting student under the assumed name of Jeziel Brett.
I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow. But I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago, in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel.
Excuse me.
Ah! And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis I had formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy.
What? Topsy? Topsy hypothesis. What do you mean when you say your hypothesis was turned topsy, Mr. Sholmes?
I had believed all 4 names on the list to be the names of victims. However, I was mistaken.
Very much so! Asa Shin was a killer! So this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, is it?
Indeed, and it would seem that Miss Shin was dispatched from Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Dr. Wilson.
Probably looking to maybe cover up something about the professor case? But then why would they get Kazuma to kill Gregson?
Her visiting student status merely being a friend.
Ah! Which would of course explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. So the real reason Dr. Wilson was killed by Asa Shin is because he was a target of an assassination.
And forearmed with that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective.
What do you mean?
Well, does it not strike you? There was another among the 4, who subsequently became a visiting student.
Wait, you mean...
But of course, a name you know only too well.
You mean...
Kazuma?
Oh! You did say in court earlier today. Yes, on the 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission.
And the mission was?
the assassination of the Mark.
Young Mr. Hopsky accepted that mission a year ago now.
Surely not.
In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts. An international agreement, one might say. Detailing an assassination exchange.
An assassination exchange? How could Cosmo possibly have gotten involved in something like that? They both agree. What? So the two countries agreed to send one of their assassins to each other's country to kill someone. And they're both like, yep, this will work. But why bother at that point? Why not have Shin kill Gregson and Kazuma kill Wilson? Why bother them going to different countries?
Let's assume that we have two parties, each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those two parties then make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. That would be an assassination exchange.
So to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Japan, where she kills her target. And then the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. It certainly does sound like an exchange. But what on earth is the point? Don't forget, Naruhodo, that the British assassin at least escaped conviction, thanks to diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction. Oh yes! Such jurisdiction should be null and void under the terms of the new treaty between our two countries. So the fact that it was brought into place suggests intervention at the very highest levels. The highest levels?
These murders were two sides of the same coin, linked by a common motive, but by not by a common motive, but by contractual agreement. As such, they appeared utterly unrelated. Yet in truth, the assassins were complicit in one singular devilish scheme. That dissociation and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, the motivation behind this plot.
But wait a minute, Schultz. If this telegram is really describing the exchange of assassins you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Sashiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asugi's target was actually Inspector Gregson. What? Kazuma was here for Gregson? So Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the mark? Yes, that's exactly what it would mean.
I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the inspector safe.
Mr. Sholmes.
I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. Obviously, with a young pickpocket in tow.
Yes, Gina. Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition, that he'd be transferring to the Paris police and taking Gina with him.
But without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems. And sadly, it turned out to be his very last.
This is too much to take in. Alright everyone, that's quite enough of all that serious talk for one day. Isn't it, Hurley? I mean, look at the time!
Ah, quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow.
What preparations? Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel. This has certainly been a night to remember. It is a little bit sad, though. I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. Because then Susie would have been my big sister. I'm sorry, Iris. Hey, no, Iris. I was thinking quite the same thing. You, were you? if somebody like me would be worthy, I would be delighted to become your sister. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So, you'll teach me all the ways, to throw Bruno to the floor? Oh no. Oh no. Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure. You didn't have to agree quite so readily. Oh, but wait a minute. If Susie's going to be my big sister, you can be my big brother if you want, Bruno. Huh? I mean, yes, of course. If you'll have me, I'll gladly be your brother.
Well done, Iris. You must always be mindful of feelings. I've raised you so well.
Because being sensitive is your strong suit, naturally. Right, I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now, because it's for my big brother and sister. What is all this talk about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing for what? Hehe. You'll just have to wait and see. Oh.
Good luck in court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance.
I'll do my very best, of course. It's gonna go to "to be continued," isn't it? So the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths whilst posing new conundrums. That list of 4 names on the telegram in Judge Goku's office, and the extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend had somehow become involved. I felt as though I had been plunged into an even greater darkness all of a sudden, but at the same time, I felt sure I would see the light again soon. Because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world standing steadfastly behind me. To be continued! Okay. We have only been live for 42 minutes. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. I don't like this, because I like ending these Tuesday streams at 9 p.m. or at around 9. But after a short break, we're going to continue. This is not the end of the stream. Hopefully, the next trial segment isn't 4 hours long. So, I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to take a bit of a break. Maybe get some snacks and a drink or something, and then I'll be back. Alright, just writing down the time code for when the break is over.
Alright. Let's get back to things. November 4th, 9:30 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Before we begin today, I have... Oh. Sorry, hair on my tongue. I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice. And the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing facts. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. I'm sorry, I just noticed this. But with this angle, the way he's standing and everything, it looks like the judge's chair is just tiny. It's so tiny. Like you're a freaking 16-year-old being made to eat at the little kids' table at Thanksgiving. Resolve? Yes, that's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire. The defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Asuki permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment on my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. You did what? You can do that? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day. Kazuma, whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper! Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we're heading into very dangerous territory. Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume? I mean, we could just say no. Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Barak von Zeeks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well, then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asuki, begin! As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Shiroji Goku into the courtroom. At last, then, we've reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Ryunosuke. It's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena? I did what was necessary. Ha 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 ha! Well, look at what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Toshiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am, of course, fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. Ha! It was an honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into it, that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Well, I never. Fancy the young murdering student turning up here of all places. You acquitted me yourself, and now I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom is. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this, and I'm sorry to say, I decline to comment. What? Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette. But my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. Oh, you are lying, sir! As such, I am in no position to testify. It's as simple as that. So you would run from all this? I beg your pardon? This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now. A year ago in Japan? The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right! And you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Well, Ryunosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end, too. Let's see your evidence, then. What proof do you have that Toshiro Jigoku was involved in this case?
Take that!
This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: K. Azuki, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and John Wilson. J. Wilson, not John Wilson. You little... Where did you get that? In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku. What? How on earth did you... What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and John Wilson are the names of victims. K. Azuki and A. Shin are the names of assassins. No. A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital.
culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Jeziel Brett. But her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. A. Shin and her victim Jay Wilson. And the murder that took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asagi, whose victim was the British police inspector, Tobias Gregson. K. Asagi, T. Gregson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other. What exactly is the defense suggesting? These two cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. I am willing to bet. I am very, very willing to bet that Strongheart was the other one involved. At which point, we're accusing Asagi of murder, and we're accusing the Japanese head judge and the judge of this trial of colluding. We're fucked. We're fucked at this point. We're just fucked. The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. His beard hair isn't moving, which I can actually see now. His thumb is just clipping through his beard. Was there like a... Hold on. No, you don't know. It can wait. As much as I want to check like the system update for the Switch, like maybe they somehow patched in 4K 60 frames per second. I'm not sure how they do that, but they did it if that's what it was. It's just everything looks more clear now for some reason. Judge Jigoku, what's this all about? And you, Kazuma, you lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you accepted the assassination mission. But the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard. As shown by the name on the killing contract. Excuse me. Very impressive, Ryunosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Sashiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. Ah! You deliberately avoided saying a name. The defense claims these four names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange? I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself? His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Groose. Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. To refuse would put you in contempt of court. There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st of October. Oh, wait, it just clicked for me now. It just clicked for me now. Why, Cosma? It wasn't the government that was involved, or well, technically it was, but it was two very specific members of the government that were involved. I'm still blanking on why Wilson was killed, to be honest. Like, maybe it was part of, like, a cover-up for something he knew about the Professor case? But with Jigoku, it could be that he wanted revenge for his best friend, who he still maybe believes to be innocent, and that the Professor case, that maybe he still believes that he wasn't the Professor. Maybe he wasn't. I'm starting to believe that Kazuma's dad wasn't actually the Professor. But it was Gregson who pushed for an autopsy on Zeke's brother, and that led to Kazuma's dad being the one accused of being the Professor. Interesting. So it could be a revenge both for Jigoku and Kazuma. But then why was the British government, or someone within the British government, likely Strongheart, why did they want Wilson dead? Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord. The Assassin Exchange. It's true that Kazuma Asugi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly I can't be involved. We did find a bullet hole in your cabin. So you admit it then? As this communication suggests, there really was an assassination exchange between... I didn't get a chance to read that. I hit the button too fast. An assassination exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan? A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here. To use such a worthy practice as a foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge. Let's see here. Now let's take a look at the autopsy report. Indeterminate. It just says indeterminate. Doesn't even give us a range. Pardon? Asugi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. What? Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Council? Kazuma-sama. Judge Jigoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk. because if he'd been shut in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. No, we got something that proves it. It's possible. It's definitely possible. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Barrack von Zeeks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge, such as the witness, could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with the tangible evidence pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? It was you, wasn't it? You were the other person on the end. Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. I don't even think I have to press everything. I don't think I have to press a thing. I think I know what to present and when to present it. But first, just to be on the safe side, save. Let's see here. T. Gregson, story tour. Again, mission. Evening in question, a member of the crew who was on the duty at the times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly, I can't be involved. Can't you now?
Objection!
Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jigoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st.
What? Where did you get that?
It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember.
Herlock Sholmes again.
According to this itinerary, I probably mispronounced that. After leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m. and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grooves were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill.
All crewmen were away from their posts?
And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku,
you had ample opportunity to commit the crime.
Objection!
a 20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke, but it amounts to nothing. Why? Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin. Unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Let me take a look at something, actually. Yeah, you know what? I don't think the game actually let us closely examine these two things at first. You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's the part on top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? It's called the crown, I believe. A watch would be quite useless without one. Crown? Like what sits on top of a monarch's head? It's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually, yes, Mr. Naruhodo? If this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here, somewhere with a very bare head. If by monarch you mean pocket watch, then I'm sure you have! Is there something else I can examine about? Oh, look at this. This is definitely 60 frames per second. And I like it. I'm not sure if it's showing up as 60 frames per second on your end, but it is on my end. And I think I know what he's talking about. This is part of Gregson's pocket watch. Yep, there it is. I thought this was a fuse or something, but no. This is where the crown goes. What do you think, Mr. Sato? I feel sure I know exactly what will fit here. Really? I was just thinking precisely the same thing. We're about to see that the little round component is actually part of Inspector Gregson's broken pocket watch. Really? I was just thinking precisely that too.
Yep.
A perfect fit. I knew it. Alright, perhaps you knew it. I'll make a note of this new information at once. Your accusations is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel? We just figured it out. Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Shigoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because the defense has evidence to prove it. You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Shigoku's cabin on the 31st of October?
Take that!
Judge Shigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is this? The crown of a pocket watch? A pocket watch? And if you will observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part. It can't be. Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's pocket watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Shigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill in the cabin occupied by you, Judge Shigoku! Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer?
Objection!
Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks.
What?
And I believe Judge Shigoku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Sorry? If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall in which you stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume. Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st of October. Of course, as a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice, except earlier in this very trial today, when I refused to testify. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an iPod safe throw, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London. How did you know that? Oh, sorry. forgot to mute my mic at first. Yeah, that's the end of the testimony. I am going to have to press some of this. Ippon seal. A common jujitsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place in there. Hold on. See, the thing is that there is a bullet hole in the wall of his cabin, but we can't examine that. It's not on the court record. And then there's this. It doesn't explain this. What I think happened was Kazuma led Gregson to that cabin, at which point Kazuma tried to kill Jigoku, but Gregson blocked the sword with his trunk, and while he was doing that, Jigoku, like, I don't know, maybe took his gun or something like that and shot him. Ah! I have no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. But if this testimony holds, Jigoku will be deemed to have had no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on a cross-examination. Sorry, my lord, the defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You're an embarrassment to your country, not knowing when you're beat. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, I don't see a clear contradiction here. Maybe I'm stupid. I just don't see it. So I'm gonna have to press everything. When I looked at the history, it said there was only one line of dialogue. Women are good at me. Listen to caravan. Murder. Killed, having returned to Britain because his body was found in London.
Hold it!
Because the so-called guard posted at your cabin door had just let your killer pass, you mean? Apparently, Gregson told the crewman he was a police inspector, which was the truth, of course. He wouldn't have had his identification with him, though. He had his trench coat and mustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced. The man accompanying him would have had two swords. But the man accompanying him would have had two swords slung around his waist. Excuse me. You mean me? Who else? Yes, that's true. You would have hoped the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly, all I can tell you is that only the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back at my cabin. And you entered without any inkling of suspicion? That's right, none whatsoever. I walked through the door, a mustachioed English gentleman was foolishly waving a gun at me.
Hold it!
Obviously, you're talking about Inspector Gregson. Yes, though at the time I didn't know the man's name. And there was no time for introductions. I value my life over manners. By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose? That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. Anyone would think the man had never shot somebody before. Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Anyway, there was no time to call for the help of the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself. I soon took care of him with an Ippon-seo throw, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that.
Hold it!
Even though the man had a gun? That was a very brave move, wasn't it? Ha 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 ha! My Ippon-seo is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you. But surely all that commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it? Yes, of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow and just managed to slip past him to make his escape. The outstanding guard does it again. Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out using a quick Ippon-seo throw. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his
Hold it!
The crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked. Preferable to the man's head being pulled off his spine cracking, wouldn't you say? Not that the man was spared for long. A bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place. Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujitsu throw. Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall. Ha 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 ha! What are you talking about? Yeah, we can't prove that. That's what the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London.
Hold it!
But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive. Just take a moment to think that idea of yours through now, stripling. What? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at the same spot. It's a devil of a thing.
You moved it?
Obviously, the culprit must have moved the body. How exactly? Carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? You can move a body. You can move a body. This game proved that you can do that. They obviously don't check suitcases for that kind of shit. They don't check trunks or anything. You fit in that trunk pretty well. All passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded for arriving vessels. I would like to think the border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. Ugh, that killed the idea then. But perhaps not! Miss Usano? We've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard there, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body in the sea. Yes, that's true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative. Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony with your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objection. State your amended testimony now. There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain. About that.
Well, this obviously isn't it.
Yeah, we don't have the trunk. We don't have his trunk on us.
Hold it!
There's an idea. Think about it, Stripling. All passengers and crew disembarked at the same time and passed through the same checks at the border. The symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel carriages organized by the ministry. And we met you as soon as you arrived at the hotel. So you did! Well then, remind me, did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time? Did he have his trunk with him? Because I thought this picture would come up. Where'd it go? There it is. There it is! So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Unless, of course, they've developed some clever device these days to instantly move things from A to B. Funny you should say that. Professor Harebrain's invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, of course. The defense has become unusually quiet, I notice. Oh, shut the hell up. Yeah, I got it. I'm just mashing A at this point. Mashing A, I know what to do. I know exactly what to do now. I know what to do. 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 Alright, here we go. Is it? There it is.
Objection!
There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body, you say? I would say the opposite is true. And what's that supposed to mean? Far from being impossible for you to do, the transporting of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something only you could do. What are you talking about, Ryunosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Jigoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. We learned that when he first met upon your arrival in London... Oh. I guess that's the end of the sentence. Whoops. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you?
I knew you were jealous.
I presume you recall this, Judge Jigoku? It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside. Mr. Naruhodo, surely you're not suggesting... I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us, inside Judge Shikoku's trunk. That was a nice transition there. Order! Order! Order in court! I'm skeptical, counsel. That's a grown man's body. That grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk. It could. Jigoku was in one. He hid inside the trunk. Perfect. Oh, because I happen to know that the witness himself, a man of considerable size, fits inside his trunk, and verifying that would be extremely simple, wouldn't it, Judge Jigoku? But inside his trunk? How horrifying! And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street, taking your trunk with you in a cab to deposit the inspector's body. I don't have to listen to this nonsense. Dr. Gory, the coroner who examined the body, has confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged there are signs that steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. The onset of the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator. Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday, refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between. Yes, I'm sure they are, but one place they're certainly found is on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages, and the SS Groose is no exception. Professor Toba told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Jigoku? However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth. All the evidence points to you being the killer. Well, this is all very heartening. I can see that it was a wise move, letting Asuki and you embark on this study tour. What are you talking about now? Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you've both laid firm foundations for that already. Judge Jigoku, please, stop diverting attention from the issue at hand. The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond? Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there? Why ever not? Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, you must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical. The actual scene of the crime. The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place on Fresno Street when the gunshot was heard. As the accused, Barrack von Zeeks shot the victim at point-blank range. Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at this time, the defense's deductions amount to little more than an elaborate fairy tale. Very weird time to have a weird burp like that, or hiccup, or whatever it was. I'm afraid that's how the logical reasoning the British are known for really works, young stripling. The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly? I'm afraid that it's the prosecution's claim that's only fairy tale here. I'm gonna say it because I think I'm lost. Maybe it's obvious? How can you say that? Quite simply, because the claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession. Very tantalizing, counsel. I think you had better explain yourself to the court, don't you? It contradicts something, huh? What does it contradict? Is it the pocket watch? Just open the thing. I wish I didn't have to go through all this again. Just to get the dates. Damn it, I skipped it. Hold on. I'm gonna have to see it again. Damn it, okay. Something that shows that he didn't die instantly. The pocket watch is the only thing I can think of, because in all honesty, I'm drawing a blank.
Take that!
Yeah, I'm wrong. Is it the ticket? Died instantly. What contradicts the claim that he died instantly? Let's take another look at the autopsy report. Okay, so it can't be that. Because that says he died instantly. So maybe he did die instantly, and the thing I'm supposed to read is that the prosecution claims died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. Something that proves... Oh, wait! Hold on! No, wait, the candle. I don't think a candle would stop a bullet, though. Is it this? It's probably not this.
Take that!
Yeah, it's not this. Let's go through all the evidence again. I feel like we've already gone over this. I think I got it. It's weird, but I think I got it.
Take that!
Okay, I don't got it. Because if the story he's telling is correct, why would he have put on the wig? That was my logic. So what contradicts the idea that he was killed? What contradicts the idea that he was killed in the cabin? I mean, the fact that he's curled up gives credence to the idea that, that he was put in the case, but I'm not sure that's what I have to present here. I'm going to present it anyway.
Take that!
Wait, the music stopped! A photograph of the victim in the very location you claim he wasn't killed? Yes, but the point is the posture of the body itself. If Inspector Gregson had been shot there in that room, it's out of the question that his body would have been curled up in a ball like that. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your logic is flawed. He could have easily adopted the fetal position due to the pain of the shot, which subsequently proved fatal.
Objection!
Except the autopsy report said he was killed instantly. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Judge Jigoku, but it's your logic that is flawed. What? According to this autopsy report, the victim died instantly. He would have felt no pain, much less have been able to draw himself into that position. Ah! Which begs the question of why the victim's body is curled up in that way. Though the answer should be abundantly clear by now. You're suggesting the inspector's body took on that posture ahead of its arrival on Fresno Street, before it was coldly turned down on the floor from the inside of a large travel trunk. No! You're quite right! The shape of the body, it looks exactly as if it had been kept in a confined space. Judge Jigoku, present your trunk for examination. I believe it's very possible that it will contain traces of the victim's blood. Arrgh! He does not like that. Present my trunk? I refuse! What? On what grounds? I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Empire of Japan. I shouldn't have to put up with this treatment just because some stripling's baseless accusations. In other words, Judge Jigoku, there is blood in your trunk. I decline to answer that. As the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I have privileges that allow me to... At this moment, you're not a government minister. You are a witness in a trial in Britain's highest court. I don't care who you are or what your status outside this courtroom might be. You will not withhold information. Nothing is more important than the truth. Urgh! Order! Order in court! Well, Mr. Jigoku, what's it to be? You can't be serious! You did it?! Have you no shame at all, Kazuma Asugi? What? Very well, I admit it. I did bring the inspector's body into the country. Inside my trunk, exactly as postulated by the defense. What? You... Dear God, outrageous! It was you! You admit... Okay. No! I admit to nothing more than what I've said. Of killing the man, I certainly have no recollection. What on earth is that cryptic statement supposed to mean? I merely disposed of the inspector's body, which was left in my cabin, in order to avoid unwanted attention. As the judicial assistant over there pointed out, I had no chance to throw it into the ocean. So, I decided my only option was to bring it into Britain with me and dispose of it somewhere else. You can't still deny it. If you didn't do it, then who on earth did kill the man? As you know, there was one other person in my cabin that night. He had the opportunity. And moreover, he'd already accepted a mission to take the inspector's life. No. That's right. Who else could it have been? It was you, Kazuma Asugi. You. I never thought you'd stoop to this, Sashiro Jigoku. You've taken the words straight out of my mouth, Prosecutor Kazuma Asugi. You thought by leaving the body in my cabin you could pin the crime on me, did you? Well, the prosecution counsel has already admitted to visiting the witness's cabin on the night in question. Yes, on an assassination mission, no less. You wouldn't! So, what do you make of that, young stripling? You've heard my testimony now, and that's all I have to do. That's all I have to say on the matter. I'll admit to nothing more. I don't believe this. Counsel for the defense. What is your position now? The court awaits your response to the witness's assertion. The assertion that on the night in question, the victim's assailant was in fact Mr. Kazuma Asugi. I'm going to save again. Because I don't think Kazuma did it anymore. I think it was Jigoku who killed him. I think Kazuma tried to kill him, failed, and then Jigoku finished the job. This isn't the dead end it seems to be. The answer is right in front of me. It comes down to Jigoku, or Kazuma.
Both of them had the opportunity to kill Gregson, but only one of them did it. And I'm just a step away from proving who. Very well, the defense is ready to respond to the assertion put forward by Judge Jigoku. The idea that the victim's murder could have been prosecuted by Prosecutor Asuki is impossible. He doesn't use guns! Judge Jigoku, let me remind you of something you said only a few minutes ago. You claim that logical reasoning is the future of judicial process. It is, no question. Well, logical reasoning can prove something here. Namely, that it would have been impossible for Prosecutor Asuki to commit the crime. What? The court will only accept an argument if that is supported by compelling evidence. So present what you have, counsel. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asuki's involvement? Let's see here. I want to say it's the trunk, but I also want to go through all this and check something else. I'm gonna make another save right here.
Take that!
Yeah, okay. I had a feeling. Something else. Give me the triumphant music again. This?
Take that!
Yeah, okay. Alright, let's see here. What do we got? Wait, hold on! Wait. Odd. Didn't update or anything. I just noticed these pockets up here. Well, that's unfortunate. Because what this could suggest is that... whatever. I don't care anymore. What proves that he wasn't involved?
Oh! Wait! This is an older model, isn't it? It didn't have serial numbers. If it was Kazuma's, his would have had a serial number engraved into it. Yeah.
Take that!
What? Okay, I don't know how that works. Alright, let's try this again. Okay. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asaki's involvement? Did I fall for a trap? I'm starting to think I fell for a trap. I mean... Let's take another look at the autopsy report. Well, we've already proven that, we've already gotten him to admit that he moved the body. Excuse me. I really don't want to brute force this. couldn't... Is it that he couldn't have even been on the steamship?
Take that!
Yeah. Wrong again. Yeah, I'm going back, actually. I'm starting to think I fell into a trap. Well, it is possible, my lord. What? How could you? Do you think I want to believe it? But the fact is, I can't say with complete certainty what actually happened because I wasn't there. You disappoint me, Ryunosuke. If I may, Mr. Naruhodo. I think perhaps that's why we form opinions based on evidence. Okay, so no, I was right the first time around. I thought I had fallen into a trap by saying it was impossible, but apparently I hadn't. Because I can't think of anything. Every time I find some kind of line of logic that would prove the possibility just impossible, I mean, that prove Atsuki's involvement to be impossible, it gets shot down. Because they've already admitted they don't want me to fucking examine this again, do they? Yeah, I don't see how the trunk doesn't prove it. The only thing I can think is to just present stuff that we haven't presented in court before. And the only thing we haven't presented in court yet is the Asagi papers, and that's it. That's all we haven't presented. Well, here goes nothing.
Take that!
Yeah, I figured. Oh, here we are again. I mean, I've already presented the gun. I've already presented the gun and it didn't work. Can I look at the chamber? Well, not the chamber, the actual revolving part. The only other thing I think I can present is the wig. I don't think this helps us.
Take that!
Yeah. Watch it be something really freaking stupid. Ah! Oh my god, I just figured it out.
Take that!
No, I haven't. Never mind. The mission would have been given to him by Jigoku, so what reason would there have been to frame him for it? That was my logic anyway, but apparently that doesn't hold up. That's a clippable moment right there. Just, I figured it out. I got it. 100% I'm correct. No, I'm not. See, that's just proof that I'm stupid. This?
Take that!
What would make it impossible? For Cosmo to have been the one to pull this off. I think I got it now. I think I got it.
Take that!
Never mind. My theory was that, okay, in order for all the evidence to line up, Cosmo would have had to try with his sword, fail, and then go with the gun. But then that would have shown that there were signs of a duel of some kind. And there are no signs of a duel on Gregson. He's just fucking dead. What do we have? Something keeps telling me to present this, though I kind of doubt it's gonna work. Because we're not trying to prove that he had that he wasn't involved in moving the body. We're trying to prove that he didn't kill him. Jigoku has already said that, like, oh no, I alone was the one who moved the body. This?
Take that!
Again, I don't know. I will admit, I'm at a loss. No, I meant to... No. Examine this again. Maybe there's something on the back. No? Okay. Autopsy report.
Take that!
I'm just gonna present the gun again. I don't know why.
Take that!
Yeah, I'll admit I'm lost. If I wasn't save scumming, I would have game overed like at least twice by now.
Take that!
Like, at this point, I'm just presenting whatever I have a feeling may prove it. Like, even if I don't fully understand the logic, like, maybe I understand it on, like, a subconscious level or something.
Take that!
Maybe now I can present it and it'll work? I don't
Take that!
know. What is the logic here? Gregson wasn't on an assassination mission. He wanted to lead with Gina. But then this begs the question.
Take that!
Still nothing, okay. Wrong button. I thought maybe that would prove it. I don't know anymore. The pocket watch somehow?
Take that!
Yeah, I'm defeated here. I'm effectively I'm effectively brute forcing it, but I really don't, because even if I'm wrong a million times, if I get it right and figure it out on my own, without having to brute force it, I'll feel some kind of accomplishment.
that!
Again, I'm just constantly drawing a blank here. Every time I find a line of logic, it gets shot down. Is it the picture again?
Take that!
It's not the picture. You presented everything on this page, so it's basically brute forcing. At this point, I'm actively looking for the stuff I didn't present. Which, at this point, the stuff I didn't present is less than the stuff I did. I haven't presented this, I haven't presented this. I haven't presented this, I haven't presented this. I presented this. I haven't presented this. I haven't presented this. Presented this. I haven't presented this or this. So 1, 2. Wait. Hold on. Are we suggesting that Kazuma murdered, is Shigoku trying to say that, Kazuma murdered... Hold on, I need to look at this actually, hold on. What is he trying to say? This is all I got.
Take that!
And it's wrong as usual. Eventually I will be able to process of elimination it, but I won't be happy about it. Okay. Actually, I don't think I have presented this. See, this triumphant music is going on. Like, oh, you figured it out and you're gonna put it to the end, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a complete blank. Let me just make a list of the stuff that I haven't presented yet. Like, actual physical list. Okay. Excuse me. Would he have been allowed to bring his swords with him? Or his gun if he was given one? So that could be the evacuation drill, the identification, or the ticket. I'm pretty sure I've already presented the ticket. I'm not entirely sure if I've presented the identification.
Take that!
Okay. No, not save.
Take that!
Okay. This itinerary suddenly became much more significant. Crewman Sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, nobody could have fired a shot inside the cabin. Absolutely, because it's inconceivable that the guard wouldn't have heard it and come to investigate. So that tells us that the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. Okay. And that narrows it down to 20 minutes just after 10 o'clock as indicated on the itinerary. I see no flaw in your reasoning so far. Neither do I. The crucial point is when the evacuation drill took place, the steamship had already put to sea from the port at Dunkirk. Okay. Now, clearly the murder could only have been committed by somebody who was aboard the vessel at the time. But Prosecutor Otsuki stated in yesterday's proceedings, I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life. So I left Brexit and disembarked the ship! Oh, that explains so much! Oh, that explains so much. He left Gregson there. He wasn't on the ship. I forgot he left the ship. I forgot he had left the ship. God. Well, I can't. I'm sorry. Maybe this sounds like just someone not wanting to admit they're wrong. In fact, maybe it is. Maybe I just sound like a sore loser. But that was at least a week ago, if not more. No, wait, that was last week. That wasn't more. That was just straight up last week. I didn't remember that he said this. I mean, yeah, I was exploring the possibility that he wasn't on the ship at the time, but I had nothing to prove it. God, I feel like such an idiot, but I also feel so relieved. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I can't blame myself for this one for some reason. Which I'm sure the court will agree is conclusive proof that Kazuma Azuki couldn't possibly have carried out the killing. Grrr! No, absolutely not. I don't accept that at all. What do you mean? The boy's just saying that to exonerate himself. We can't trust that he really disembarked the vessel. Obviously, after he left my cabin, he hid himself somewhere nearby on the ship. Just waiting for a chance to come back and finish the... No, that's out of the question. I still don't feel like I've earned this, though. More like I just kind of lucked my way into this. I should be feeling like a badass right now, but because I forgot that detail, I just kind of lucked my way into this and I don't feel like one. Isn't it, Kazuma? As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel and spent the night in a boarding house in Dunkirk. As I said yesterday, I signed my name in the accommodations register. All extremely easy to verify and undeniable proof. No! There's no escape this time. You can forget that you're a judge or a government minister. It's time you gave the court an honest answer as a common man. You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain. Then you dumped the body in the room on Fresno Street and made it look as if the murder had happened there. That's what really happened, isn't it? Seshiro Jigoku! It was a damn trial 10 years ago. That's when all this began. Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. Ah! And he breaks the thing. Oh! 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 It's over! My life is over! A British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan. A Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands. The assassin exchange request arrived from Britain about 1 year ago. Though it was hardly a request, it was a demand. And for that, we decided to recruit Mr. Asuki. But things didn't go according to plan. Your chosen assassin never made it to Britain, and you found yourself unable to dispatch a replacement, because I was already on my way to Britain at that time in Cosmo's place. And that left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation. To eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that. The International Forensic Science Symposium, I presume. Yeah, and he was looking into a black market that was supposedly taking place on the ship. Maybe he planned to bring Gina or something, but Gina was nowhere to be found. He had to get going. I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain. So I enlisted the help of my British counterpart and made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper.
What?
The Reaper? But there's only one person who could have done that. The mastermind of the entire operation. The Reaper himself.
Ah!
So, that means that the assassin exchange was... It was all planned by the Reaper? I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship. But it was all a trap designed to lead him to France and his own death. Oh, how awful. It was past 9 o'clock when I returned to my cabin from the dining hall. I didn't give him time to attack me. I choked him until he lost consciousness. No, you didn't. But there was a guard just outside the door, so I left it at that for the time being. Even the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time, waiting. For the 20 minutes after 10 o'clock, I had intended to finish him by strangulation, but moments before I had the chance, he suddenly came around and went for me in a reckless move. I had received a British-issued gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. I never imagined I'd have to use it for something like that. So the revolver belongs to you, does it? And the victim was killed inside your cabin on the SS Roost. Which begs the question of why you arranged for his body to be discovered in the room on Fresno Street. The young judicial assistant over there has already answered that question. There was no way I could take the body up on deck to throw it over the side. That's precisely where all the crewmen were gathered for the evacuation. So before the first-class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room. And then on arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk in order to smuggle it past the border police. I knew I needed to take steps if the police were to be convinced when the body was found in London. In that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Inspector Gregson's intended schedule. Yes, my British counterpart sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector was due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon. In order to meet a man by the name of Hugh Boone, from whom he would take back his police identification. Ah! I decided that man would be the perfect person to set up as the culprit. So I took a hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk. That must have been just after we took this photograph with you at the hotel room. Yes, I wasn't expecting a welcoming committee. I was more than a little nervous. On Fresno Street, I spotted a young girl selling little firecrackers. Miss Venus, of course. I conceded the candle trick there and then. So I donned a simple disguise and approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot. What sort of disguise? For some reason, the inspector had a bright red hairpiece in his own traveling case. So I put that on, although I suspect I drew more attention to myself in that than I would have otherwise. The hairpiece we found at the scene. The inspector had it ready for the Red-Headed League investigation. I only arrived at the room at around 4:45. So I quickly placed the body on the floor, moved the notice board, and set up my little candle tray. I arranged it so the firecrackers would go off with a bang around 15 minutes later. So that Mr. Boone, who was due to arrive at 5, would walk straight into a trap. Except, at the last moment, I made a careless blunder. What was that? I imagine it was the bag of fish and chips. Ah! I didn't notice it had fallen out of his overcoat pocket when I moved the body to the refrigeration. I put it back into his pocket the following morning, but... well, it seems the warmth of the heated cabin had accelerated the decay of the fish. Anyway, that's everything. All the sordid details of what I did. I've heard enough. We've arrived at the truth about the murder of one of the country's most capable and respected police inspectors. The witness will be tried in the coming days. For a crime of such a vile nature, you can expect the most severe penalty. An exchange of assassins. What a foolhardy idea. Mr. Jigoku, one last detail. Who was your counterpart in Britain? Who was the mastermind behind the assassin exchange? Nothing you say now can make matters any worse for you. Just tell us. Enough! I've already told you that I cannot say. Even though as things stand, you may very well never set foot in your homeland again. What are you waiting for? Can't we get this over with now? It's finished. All of it. I'm finished. Then, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now pronounce the findings of this court. This man before us has admitted to the willful murder of Tobias Gregson. Wait, why are they going to the guilty side? Sashiro Jigoku, it is the opinion of this court that you should be found... What? Shouldn't you declare the verdicts for Zeke's first? And may I remind all those present, the strict confidentiality demanded by this closed court. Was there supposed to be a third game that got canceled or something? Moments ago, Mr. Jigoku signed a written confession, admitting to the murder of Inspector Gregson and the subsequent conveyance of the body. In short, the defendant's innocence has therefore been established beyond doubt. Oh, wonderful! Well done, Mr. Naruhodo! Yes, thank you. Is something wrong? I'm just a little troubled by his silence. The true identity of the Reaper of the Bailey, and this extraordinary assassin exchange. We do remain in the dark about these mysteries. However, insofar as the indictment brought against the defendant in this trial, we have reached a conclusion. I have every intention of pursuing both mysteries as a prosecutor. As you wish. Now, for the formal education. I hereby declare the defendant, Barrick von Zeeks.
Objection!
The prosecution calls for education to be deferred. Counsel? The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all. What are you talking about? And therefore, it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at this time. That is the prosecution's unwavering position. Oh yeah, we still don't know who the Reaper is. But Judge Jigoku has already confessed. Nevertheless, Barrick von Zeeks has committed crimes for which he must be punished. Well, it would appear you have information that the court needs to hear, Prosecutor Asuki. Certainly, the murder of Inspector Gregson was actually carried out by Sashiro Jigoku. But it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying with the plot. Into this sick, merciless assassin exchange. That may be true, but... So what I want to know is, who coerced Jigoku? Who was pulling the strings? The victim went to France having been ordered on a mission for the Reaper, only to be murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin exchange is someone in a position to give such an order. As we've already established, the Reaper himself. Well, certainly, that would appear to follow. The prosecution hereby formally accuses the man in the dock, Berg von Zieks, of being the Reaper of the Bailey, and furthermore, I'm going to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. What? What? So there's still more. Order! 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 The Reaper of the Bailey is a long-standing mystery, Counsel. Are you suggesting you have some new information with which to build a case? Scotland Yard has already investigated Lord Van Zieks very thoroughly in that regard, and they found no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he is the Reaper. Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed. Well, why not just say that it was Barrack who gave him the orders? It's already been established that the assassin exchange was negotiated with Jigoku by the Reaper himself, which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify definitively the man's identity. That is the prosecution's intention. I must say I'm surprised by quite how tenaciously you appear to want to besmirch my name. Yeah, and plus, motive goes straight out the window for both wanting the death of both Wilson and Gregson. Because now you have to find a motive for the Reaper to want to kill Wilson. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime, Lord Van Zieks. And I will bring you to justice for it, whatever it takes. That explains Cosma's silence before. He'll stop at nothing to finish what Lord Van Zieks unwittingly started 10 years ago. Very well. Whilst it's extremely irregular, I will on this occasion grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant will disclose any and all involvement he has had with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. I thank you, my lord, for guiding the court so wisely. I hereby declare this court to be in session for supplementary hearing. Pray turn a blind eye to the discourtesy as I verify that this vile and unremitting accusation hasn't soured the contents of my hallowed chalice. Lord Van Zieks! I first had to suffer the pseudonym of the Reaper 10 years ago now, and ever since that time, I've endured the weight of the implied guilt that's gone with it. So I welcome the chance to testify now, and crush those allegations once and for all. Good. Then let justice decide, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution seeks to begin building its case by calling the accused to the stand as the primary witness, in order that he may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is the Reaper of the Bailey. And what says the defense? Putting the defendant in the witness stand can be extremely dangerous, and Kazuma-sama is emotional at the moment. He's not thinking logically. Exactly. You're right, he's not himself. But I knew it would be like this. I came here today determined to face him through whatever might arise. As a lawyer, and as his friend. Then that's what we must do. The defense has no objection, my lord. Very well. Defendant, you will take the witness stand and give formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. Are we doing this now, or is there going to be a to be continued? No, we're doing this now. Alright, it is 10 p.m. An hour past where I like these streams to go. Lovely.
I've never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason I went to Fresno Street that day, and how I came to discover the body. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson.
Why do you know of Dr. Wilson?
Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassin exchange.
What? Why did you bring up Dr. Wilson? So you deny all accusations by the prosecution? Both that you are the Reaper of the Bailey and that you masterminded the assassin exchange? Oh, we have to prove him wrong on this.
However, excuse me, that's all a fallacy, which I alone am in a position to forswear.
Naturally, the prosecution believes the testimony just given by the accused to be untrue. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Yes? Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom? A desire to uncover the truth. Even if the truth proves your client to be guilty? From all my experiences in this courtroom, I've come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later, it will come out. So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth. I want you to remember what you just said. Enough dilatory chatter. Counsel for the defense, proceed to cross-examine the witness. Yes, my lord. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kazuma. I know you're just waiting to point it out. The contradiction you've convinced lies somewhere within this man's testimony. It's the Dr. Wilson thing. But do I present the autopsy report? Or do I present the plans?
Objection!
What is this? An autopsy report? Wait, this is 10 years old. From the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. What? My brother's autopsy report? I'm pleased to see the defense doesn't intend to run from the undeniable truth. Order in court! What reason do you have for presenting a 10-year-old autopsy report here, counsel? This, the autopsy report of the professor's final victim, is an indelible link between Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson, and the defendant. Not that accursed name again. The professor. I've personally researched all the court records relating to that case. I know that at the time, autopsy was considered sacrilege to the victim's soul. And for a member of the aristocracy like Lord Clint Van Zeeks, it was unthinkable. But someone implored the powers that be to allow the autopsy to go ahead, Inspector Gregson. He declared that he was certain he would obtain conclusive proof from the procedure. And it was Dr. Wilson who conducted the autopsy. His signature is clearly visible on the document. As promised by Gregson, the autopsy did indeed produce evidence.
evidence that conclusively proved Genshin Asogi was guilty of the murders. In my brother's dying moments, he mustered all his remaining strength to leave the vital clue behind.
What is that clue? Indeed, that was the key to indicting the professor for his crimes and the conclusive evidence that convicted him. It enabled Lord Van Zieks here to avenge his brother's senseless death with a marvelous victory in court. A marvelous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true.
What?
Could the same be said if it turned out that the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? If the inspector, the coroner, and the prosecutor all colluded together to cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer and send him to his death, what would be the point of that, considering it was going to be hidden anyway?
That's outrageous!
And now, 10 years later, for some reason, the secret has been threatened and needs protecting. Which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced, isn't it? By someone in power in Japan and in Britain, using the two killers recruited for the assassin exchange. Order! Order at once! 10 years ago, my father was convicted in this very courtroom as a mass murderer, to be sentenced to death. But it was all a sham, and I swore to myself I'd prove it. Which is why I had to come to Britain. Whatever the cost! You'll have to forgive me if I feel compelled to toast this vengeful Nipponese's tenacity of purpose here. I sort of lose breath on that one. However, he who fails to quash his emotions in the courtroom has failed as a lawyer. Come on, Kazuma. You know this won't wash. You're claiming your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago. You must see that without evidence, that's nothing more than a wild accusation. As it happens, I have evidence. What? As the court has heard, I crossed the channel to France with Gregson on the 31st. I went with him on the pretext of being the assassin recruited to kill Shishiro Jigoku. But my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the evidence, and he acknowledged what I'd already deduced. There's a closely guarded secret about what went on in the autopsy 10 years ago. What? A secret? I know nothing of any secret! While we waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin, I drew my clan's illustrious sword, Karuma, before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Right, I see. So you're the Asogi's young lad, are you? You hadn't figured that out yet? And what? You're gonna cut me down with that thing? Is that it? That will very much depend on the answers you give to my questions. I want to know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth, that's all. Before we get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe your father was the professor. There's no doubt in my mind. But unfortunately, back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. So, you admit it then? The evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? It was for the good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. Orders? What exactly did you do? Speak! I'm not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it? That's right. Even then. So that's when the tip of the sword broke. Oh, Kazuma-sama. If the results of Cliff Van Zieks' autopsy report were fabricated, then the investigating officer Gregson and the lead coroner Wilson must have known about it. And they can only have been ordered to pervert the course of justice in that way by one man. The man leading the case for the prosecution, Barak Von Zieks. In other words, the defendant did have cause to organize this exchange of assassins. Exactly. And as was established earlier, it has to have been the Reaper himself who liaised with Jigoku in Japan to arrange the exchange. But why would Jigoku agree to it then? So it follows that the Reaper's true identity can only be that of the man who stands accused in this courtroom today, Barak von Zeeks.
Objection!
Kazuma Asuki. What? What you've just told the court? Are you absolutely certain of your facts? Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago?
I heard it with my own ears. His shameful admission.
In that case, I know. The name of the Reaper.
What? What? Lord Van Zeeks?
I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. Which narrows down the remaining possibilities to one!
If Lord Van Zeeks isn't the one behind all this, then yes, there is only one other person who could have done something like that. Not this, that. I believe I know who it is too.
You?
I just had a feeling this name was going to come up. The true identity of the infamous Reaper of the Bailey is... I'm just going to look through all of my things anyway. Hold on. It could be either this guy or Strongheart. It could genuinely be either one. But I'm leaning towards Strongheart. I'm gonna save just in case. I'm gonna go with my first guess and say it was Strongheart.
Take that!
The only person who could have arranged the assassin exchange and manipulated the autopsy results. Yeah, plus, like, he's not gonna have any say to tell Gregson what to do. I don't fully understand that. Is Lord Chief Justice himself, Lord Male Strongheart. What? Lord Strongheart? Yes, it's true that 10 years ago, the defendant handled the prosecution for the professor in the court. But he only took over the case after his brother, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, had been killed. I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history. Well, Lord Van Zeeks?
10 years ago, I was very new to my profession, but I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death, so I pleaded for control of the case. The investigation to that point, the supplication of the Lord to allow my brother's corpse to be examined, all the evidence I was given, the autopsy report, it all came from you. I've spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside and let me handle the trial. But I see now, I was very much mistaken.
It was a hugely influential force that caused the inspector and the coroner to break the law 10 years ago. And that same force was still felt a decade later on the other side of the world, by Sashiro Jigoku. Lord Strongheart, everything falls into place when we recognize that you are the Reaper of the Bailey. You're not pointing to him.
The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you, it is no joke. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense.
doesn't warrant a response. A formal accusal? Don't be absurd. The defense's claims are utter nonsense. A wild fantasy at best. You're not going to defend yourself? You claim there was some wrongdoing with Lord Clint Van Zeke's autopsy? That's utterly untrue.
Objection.
But I heard it from Gregson's own lips. He admitted to it. And where's your evidence? What? Gregson's dead now, unless you were thinking of summoning a ghost to the stand. I mean, we've done it before, but I don't think we have the people to do that. You mean to say... I forget how the system works in your little backwater country. But in the courts of the British Empire, without evidence, there is no case. I have no intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated by anyone or anything. Arrgh! Order! Order in court! Following Inspector Gregson's murder and in the light of Dr. Wilson's death as well, there's really no one left who could testify about the events of 10 years ago, is there? So that was the real purpose of the assassination. This court has no business raking over the coals of a case that was concluded a decade ago. The accusal brought by the prosecution and the defense is categorically denied. I take it there are no objections? Kazuma, he's more or less waited his whole life for this moment. Is there really nothing else we can do now? Wrong button. Again, wrong button. Is there no other avenue we can go down in pursuit of the truth of what happened all those years ago? If only there was someone who could testify about Clint Van Zeke's autopsy. There is someone. He's gone to extraordinary lengths to cover his tracks, even so far as dispatching an assassin all the way to Japan to ensure Dr. Wilson's silence. And Dr. Scythe won't say anything against Lord Strongheart. But there's still one ray of hope. Actually, there is one person. One person who could still testify about that autopsy. Don't be ridiculous. There's no one left. Who, Ryunosuke? Who? Tell me! Kazuma, Please, this trial can't end. Not yet! I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the truth. The person the defense would like to call to the stand to testify about the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zeeks is... Oh yeah, pass him. There he is.
Take that!
Heaven help us. Another Japanese? An expert in forensic medicine, my lord, Professor Yuji Mikitoba, 16 years ago. He came to London with Sashiro Jigoku and Genshin Asogi as a visiting student. And what could his testimony possibly tell us? Professor Mikitoba was the primary assistant during the autopsy in question. He was also the person who actually penned the report. Incorrect. The autopsy was carried out by the coroner, Dr. Wilson. The report carries his signature. It was the primary assistant's duty to keep a written record of the coroner's work during the procedure. In actual fact, the coroner merely read over the report at the end and signed it. I just got a text about something. Just a joke about Veer Mahan coming to Raw. In other words, Professor Mikitoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish. The defense demands that Professor Mikitoba be summoned as a witness as a matter of urgency. Whatever really happened in that autopsy laboratory 10 years ago is something only he can tell us. Denied? The defense's demand is denied. What? But Professor Mikitoba is in London at this very moment. We can summon him to the stand in minutes. No, Of course he's not going to agree with. Strongheart has no intention of summoning anyone who knows. He's too concerned about protecting himself. Prosecutor Asuki, let me refresh your memory, as you seem to have forgotten the prosecution's stance. Only minutes ago, you accused the defendant of being the Reaper and of masterminding the assassin exchange. I did, yes. So present your evidence for those claims and make your case complete. At this time, I don't have the requisite evidence, but that's exactly why we need witness testimony. The professor case is closed. There are no clues in the distant past that will bolster your argument today. I'm afraid to say, Prosecutor Asuki, that you would appear to be possessed by the spirit of your late homicidal father. Now, as I stated earlier, this court has already reached a conclusion with respect to the matter at hand. Inspector Gregson was murdered by Japanese Supreme Court Judge Sashiro Jigoku. As for any hidden circumstances that may exist, they will be investigated in due course by the proper authorities. But we all know what will happen. That'll just give the mastermind of the whole venture time to cover his tracks again. By which you mean me? Your punishment for this contemptible behavior will be decided at a later date. As for you, Prosecutor Asuki, you will be remanded following these proceedings. Willingly, I trust, since you gave your word. This futile game of revenge is over. Young Master Asuki. I'm not even gonna try that. That will be all. I hereby declare this trial to be over. Court is... Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! This is no place for amateur detection, Mr. Sholmes. May I remind you that these proceedings are closed to the general public. You will leave the courtroom at once.
Objection!
Mr. Sholmes was instrumental in the apprehension of Sashiro Jigoku before he fled from Europe. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Emil Strongheart, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this trial to an end at this stage. Is it really? And why would that be? You need only recall your own words from the opening of the trial to answer that question, if I may. We will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Surely it can't be that the shock of being accused of being the Reaper yourself has erased that from your memory, can it? The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered. It would seem that we have a great many important members of the judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellows, should the trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along to the prevarications of your superiors? Order! Order in court! It seems to me that we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices. A door that is ajar. Let us emerge from the shadows of the Reaper's decade-long ascendancy. For you and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open now! The auditors in the gallery have no rights to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence! He's right. The judge has absolute authority here. Yes, if he calls the trial to an end, it must end. But will that really do? I sense dark things occurring behind the scenes. Dark things indeed. Is there a single person here present who... I didn't catch that. What? The trial should go on. Summon the witness. That's right. We need to clear this up before that young Japanese fellow... Didn't catch that. My lord, you assured those present that you would uncover the whole truth here. Vindicate yourself of this outlandish accusation. The truth
The whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the very foundation of British law. A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery.
I'm gonna see if I can't.
Well, my lord, this is not the time to be opening the court record. Hear the voice of justice. I think you'll find it rather awkward.
Just lowering this again. Oh, that's probably a little too low. Right about there's good. The court will recess briefly. I have no intention of shrinking from these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena of the witness at once. As soon as the gentleman arrives at the courthouse, we shall reconvene.
A recess won't be necessary, my lord.
Pardon?
Mikitoba is a close friend of mine. He accompanied me today and is waiting in the antechamber as we speak. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip down memory lane, in fact.
What? Professor Mikitoba is here in the courthouse? Mr. Sholmes, you didn't know this would happen, did you?
My dear fellow, no one is in a better position to answer that question than you, surely.
I wasn't just asking for the fun of it, you know?
Well, I must thank you for your assistance in this matter, Mr. Sholmes. However,
you are no further use here. Kindly leave the courtroom at once.
But of course, in truth, I find myself rather busy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes?
I trust you have Iris' little Lucky Charm with you?
Absolutely. It's still in my pocket.
She sends her regards and a reminder. If you find yourself at a dead end, the ear is at your disposal. Just one tug, if you please.
Oh, of course. In that case, the trial will continue without delay. Bailiff, show the witness to the stand. So it's Lord Strongheart. He's the Reaper of the Bailey. Where exactly is this trial going to take me? Just how deep am I about to be plunged into the blackness of the abyss? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom and confront whatever horrors it tries to drown me under. To be continued. Almost 11 o'clock. We are this close to the end. This game brings me to almost 11 o'clock. We're this close to the end. This close to the end. And it doesn't even have the decency to be the finale. That will most likely be next week. Although at some point I'm going to do a bonus video or maybe stream. I don't know. On some of the bonus content that can be done from the main menu. That will be taking place Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, assuming all goes well with what I do before these streams. But between now and then, on Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch me playing Pokemon Crystal, and we will finally be tackling the Elite Four. Hopefully I will have done some more grinding and gotten my team to a decent point by then. Actually, you know what? I may do that Friday, actually. Yeah, yeah. That, once again, Pokemon Crystal will be happening Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is it for this stream. Again, the links in the description both lead to articles listing charities that are aiding either Ukrainian refugees or people in Ukraine who need the help. If you have any spare cash, please consider checking out one of the articles and donating to one or more of the charities listed there. They could really use it over there, so please consider it. But I've got nothing left to say, so I will see you guys later. In the next stream, later.